Caravan. One of the funnier events, though, that I have, funnier stories I've heard in my Caravan experience happened here. How many of you were here 2 years ago when we had Aaron Hicks and Liam Hendricks and Kyle Gibson and Rod Carew and Tony Olivia? So it was Aaron Hicks' first ever evening on a Twins Caravan. And so he came out here and he's like, well, what's going on? He had no idea because he thought that the Twins Winter Caravan was this. More like a party bus. That you go from stop to stop, you pick up people, they come on the bus, you talk Twins baseball, you drop them off, you go to the next place, you pick up 20 more people. He had no idea that there was an actual event when you got on the bus. Out in a big way, a career best season in doubles and RBIs. How about a big hand for Twins third baseman Trevor Plouffe? How many days until Bert's birthday?
74.
There we go. We got that out of the way. We got that out of the way.
Happy birthday.
And last but not least, I mentioned that Bert's in Baseball's Hall of Fame, and boy, a crime, wasn't it? A couple weeks ago, we found out that this guy missed out by one lousy vote. One vote kept this guy at Cooperstown once again this season. He's in the Twins Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, doesn't matter. He's one of our favorites, the great Tony Olivia.
Guys like here, they do the homework every single day. You know, I see and look, and the first thing I saw, that Plouffe, he got a glove. And he suitcase. I said, what do you do with the glove here in Minnesota this time of year? He said, I had to practice, I had to work. Yes, true, guys, it's true. They do the homework. I remember where I play. I know maybe some of those people here, they boo me, but not too often. But, you know, it's my 50 Caravan. Do you believe that? For a Cuban to be here in Minnesota, you know, in this beautiful weather. For the people don't understand that. You know, a lot of times the people asking me, Tony, how you live in Minnesota? You're a Cuban, why you don't live in Miami? I said, no, because my home is Cuba, where I'm born. Yeah, I miss Cuba every single day. If you ask my wife, she can tell you I miss Cuba. But my home is Minnesota. Yeah, see to the
Terry Ryan also went out and got Ervin Santana, a proven guy that can pitch 200+ innings, a guy that wants the baseball. That's good. I like Kyle Gibson. Gibson's got good stuff. He's got a good sinker. So there's 4 guys right there along with Hughes. You know, you got Santana, you got Nolasco, then you have Gibson. Now, who's going to be the 5th starter? There's 4 or 5 guys. That's what spring training's all about. When I came up at 18 years old in spring training, I got to be with Jim Perry, Jim Cott, Louis Tion, Dave Boswell. There was we only had a 4-man staff. I knew there wasn't any room for me, so I went down to AAA and I worked my tail end off. And then Boswell and Tion both got hurt at about the same time, darn it. And I got called up. And you make the most out of your opportunity. And that's what these guys are going to do right here. Jordan Schafer's got a chance. Center field's open. It's an open market right now for the Minnesota Twins. He's going to be in the best shape of his life, and he's going to win that job. That's the way you have to think. Trevor Plouffe got hurt at the end of the year. He's got a lot to prove. He knocked in 80 runs last year, the most of any Twin. He knows that the Jordan Schafer, he knows that if the Jordan Schafers and the Santanas get on base, there's a lot of opportunities for him to drive and run. So it's very, very exciting spring training. You know, you throw everything out the window. Each season, I had some crappy years, believe me, but it made me work harder. And that's what the game of baseball is all about. I got to play a kid's game for a lot of years, and just coming out and saying thank you. Thank you to you for supporting Twins baseball and trusting that these have the aspirations of maybe playing Major League Baseball one day. I was born in Holland. I think I mentioned that before. I came over in 1957. I really didn't start playing baseball until about 9 or 10 years old. My dad was a huge, huge Dodger fan. The curveball with Sandy Koufax. Well, there was an interview that Ben had with Sandy Koufax, And he said, because of the arthritic elbow that shortened Koufax's career, he said, if I ever had a son, I wouldn't let him throw a curveball until he was about 13 or 14 years old. My dad heard that. My dad was a strong man. He straightened bumpers for a living, and a lot of times my head. And when we played catch in the backyard, you know, no, and God damn it, no curveball, you know. That's the way my pops was. So I didn't start throwing a curveball until I was about 14. You want that arm to develop and get out here. A lot of young kids put a lot of extra pressure on that curveball. Funny story about my dad, real quick. My first major league game, speaking of home runs earlier, my first major league game was in Washington, D.C. against the Washington Senators back in 1970. I was just 19 years old. You know, we didn't have the cell phones and the iPads and all that stuff. So the first guy I ever faced was a guy named Lee May. And Frank Howard was in the lineup for the Senators that day. Now, my mom and dad couldn't hear it from Southern California how the game went. But I got to count the 3 balls and 2 strikes on Lee May, and George Metterwell was my catcher. And I only had 2 pitches. I had a fastball and a curveball. And, you know, 3-2 pitch, George put down fastball. And I shook him off. And you probably thought, what a cocky young kid. You know, he doesn't throw that curveball right off the get-go. He put down proudly curveball, too. I shook him off. He came out and he goes, you got to have another pitch? I said, no, George. I said, this guy I'll remember the rest of my life. So he goes, I said, you know, what do you want me to throw? I said, he said, I already put down fastball. I'll tell you what, fastball away. Just hit the outer half of the plate, hopefully good things will happen. So sure enough, he goes back, gives me a fastball away. I throw it right toward his glove, but Lee May's bat got in the way, and he hit it 400 feet over the right field fence. Yeah, wasn't that funny at the time, folks? And on my head, and all I'm thinking is, if Lee May, who stood about 6 foot tall, hit it 400 feet, how far is Frank Howard going to hit it, okay? He was batting 3rd in that lineup. So sure enough, I ended up getting him out. We won the game 2-1. It was the only run I gave up. I pitched 7 innings. Ron Peranowski pitched the final 2. He got the save. After the ball game, after the celebration, as far as myself, I went back to the hotel and I called my parents up. So Mom and Dad, because they had heard, but I wanted to talk to them. So of course my mother gets on the phone first. You know, in her Dutch accent, we're talking about the game, and she's, you know, oh, kid, thank you, you know, good job, good job. I said, well, is my pop's there. He's the guy that built the mound in the backyard for me, that played catch coming after work. And so he got on the phone, and remember Frank Howard is his idol, gets on the phone, and well, congratulations, son, you know, and he's going down. I gave up a home run, first guy, and he found one thing leads to another. Well, how did Frank Howard do against you? And I said, Dad, 0 for 3, and I struck him out once. Dad? He hung up on me. But those are memories you never forget.
We got to sit on a bus next to Tony Olivia and Bert Blyleven. It's a dream come true for a kid that loves baseball. You know, growing up, got to see guys like that. Now I'm hanging out with them on a bus. So we have a lot of great coaches. Tom Berdansky being one of them. And at the beginning of last year, we sat down together and we kind of mapped out a plan for the season. He said I needed to be a run producer for the team. That was going to be my role. And he said, how are we going to do that? When you look around the league, you know, you see guys like Miguel Cabrera and what they do to drive in runs. It's not always via 3-run homer. You know, he'll take his singles to right field. They don't always look pretty, but they get the job done. So that was something that we had as a point of emphasis. Me using the whole field, battling, getting those ugly RBIs, and you know, a lot of
throughout the week was about Paul Molitor being in this new role as a skipper. He was in the dugout last year in a different capacity, but what did you take away from Molitor, just being around him as a coach every day, that you think will translate into him being an everyday manager now?
I think he knows how to push each individual's buttons. You know, you can't really treat everyone the same because everybody has a different personality. So he knows how to talk to certain players. He knows the guys that he needs to light a fire under. He knows the guys that need a pat on the back. So another thing I've been saying, and Bert and I talked about this the other day, is he has this ability to really make you understand what he's trying to say. He can sit down, and he's not a man of many words, but when he talks, he gets his point across, and gets it across in a way where you say, I get it, I understand what you want me to do.
It's been very eye-opening for me. Just how big the fan base is. Just how big the fan base is. All the support that we've gotten through the last 4 days, and even me coming the last 2 months over here, just like I told the story a couple times of, it was a midweek day game. We had 30,000+ people there, and I can't tell you how much that means to us as players to run out on the field and get ready for that game and actually see a full stadium and see the support. That makes us want to go out there and play hard for you guys, and it really means a lot to us.
Thank you, Jordan.
When I'm going to pitch more innings, I'm not going to leave that game when it's a 1-0 game after 7 innings because I'm going to get pinch hit for it. But think about it: me swinging a bat or this man right here. I would take, I don't care who's their designated hitter on the other side. I knew that this man was hitting as a designated hitter for the Minnesota Twins. This guy, if you ask, and I'm at the Hall of Fame, when I go every year in July, I talk to the guys that played in our era a little bit before this, and I ask them, a lot of the pitchers, like Ferguson Jenkins, Gaylord Perry, if the game was on the line, who did you not want to face? His name came up a lot. And I'll tell you what, it's a prime game.
Consistent. I think our offense did a pretty good job last year. I think we were 7th in the league in runs scored. But we need to get on base more. We need to work counts better. It's going to be interesting to see, what Molly does with the lineup. Tori is going to be obviously in the middle of it, and I think he's going to bring a lot to the team. He's the guy that's going to fire us up in the clubhouse. And I heard Bert reference how Kirby would do that with his team, and Bert maybe wasn't that excited to come to the field. Not Bert personally, but the team, and Kirby would walk in with that infectious smile, and everybody would just be happy to play. And I think that's kind of what Tori's going to bring to the clubhouse as well.